Welcome to the nursing world, where we follow hospital policies until we write our own. If nurses were in charge, you'd better believe things would look very different. 1. The dress code policy. Traditional policy. Nurses must wear plain scrubs in approved colors. Nurse-written policy. Scrubs must have a minimum of 5 pockets, stretch like yoga pants, and include built-in heating for freezing night shifts. 2. Meal break. Policy. Traditional policy. Staff are allowed a 30-minute break. Nurse-written policy. Mandatory meal breaks every 4 hours with snacks provided by management. No interruptions unless the hospital is literally on fire. 3. Patient call. Light policy. Traditional policy. Respond to call lights promptly. Nurse-written policy. All non-urgent requests for extra blankets, TV channel changes, or snacks will be auto-forwarded to administration. Nurses will answer real emergencies only. Charting policy. Traditional policy. Complete all documentation before the end of your shift. Nurse-written policy. Charting to be done by AI bots. Nurses will narrate patient care while sipping coffee. 5. Staffing ratios. Traditional policy. Staffing depends on census and budget. Nurse-written policy. Staffing depends on common sense. Each nurse will care for 4 patients max. Extra staff provided during flu season or chocolate as hazard pay. 6. Time off requests. Traditional policy. Submit time off requests 4 weeks in advance. Approval is not guaranteed. Nurse-written policy. Time off requests will be granted instantly if you say, "I just can't anymore." Bonus vacation days for working night shifts or surviving a full moon weekend. 7. The shift handoff policy. Traditional policy. Handoff reports must be detailed and accurate. Nurse-written policy. Handoff is a 1-sentence summary. Your patient is alive. Good luck. All drama details can wait for coffee breaks. 8. Family visitor policy. Traditional policy. Visiting hours are 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Family allowed at bedside. Nurse-written policy. Family members who say they never eat like this at home or ask, "Are you even a real nurse?" will be banned. VIP access only for nice grandmas and anyone bringing cookies. 9. Equipment policy. Traditional policy. Keep all equipment in designated areas fully stocked and functional. Nurse-written policy. Broken equipment must be escorted out with a funeral procession. Extra charges will apply to the first person who borrows our bladder scanner and doesn't return it. 10. Medication policy. Traditional policy. Medications must be scanned and double-checked before administration. Nurse-written policy. Medications will auto-sort themselves. Nurses will spend 0 time searching for the one missing med that's always on back order. 11. Meeting policy. Traditional policy. All nurses are required to attend monthly staff meetings. Nurse-written policy. Meetings will be optional and come with free food and nap pods. If it could have been an email, the presenter will owe everyone coffee for a week. 12. Code Brown policy. Traditional policy. Call for assistance during large-scale cleanup situations. Nurse-written policy. Code Browns will automatically summon a cleaning crew, hazmat team, and a therapy puppy for emotional support. 13. Coffee policy. Traditional policy. Employees may consume beverages in designated areas only. Nurse-written policy. Coffee is to be delivered bedside for nurses by personal baristas. No coffee equals no patient care. Period. 14. Complaints. Policy. Traditional policy. Address all patient complaints professionally. Nurse-written policy. Patients who complain about wait times while scrolling TikTok will be handed a clipboard and asked to write a policy improvement plan themselves. Chart, audits, policy. Traditional policy. Chart audits are conducted regularly to ensure compliance. Nurse-written policy. All chart audits will be completed by management. If they find an error, they must buy donuts for the whole unit. 16. Doctor rounding policy. Traditional policy. Doctors round on patients at their discretion. Nurse-written policy. Doctors must round at the same time every day and answer all questions before they vanish like ghosts. If they say, just keep an eye on it, they owe the nurse coffee. Charge nurse assignment policy. Traditional policy. The charge nurse is responsible for managing assignments and coordinating care. Nurse-written policy. The charge nurse gets a throne in the break room, a crown made of IV tubing, and a bonus snack stash. Any nurse who says, this assignment is unfair, must automatically trade shifts with the charge nurse for a day. 18. Management visibility policy. Traditional policy. Management will conduct regular unit rounds to ensure compliance and staff support. Nurse-written policy. Management must shadow a nurse for one full shift without sitting down. Any use of the phrase, we're all a team, will require them to complete one bed bath themselves. 19. Management meeting policy. Traditional policy. Managers hold monthly meetings to discuss unit performance and goals. Nurse-written policy. All management meetings must start with an explanation of why they didn't come help during last night's shift. Bonus points if they bring donuts and coffee as an apology. 20. Budget allocation policy. Traditional policy. Budget cuts are applied as needed for operational efficiency. Nurse-written policy. If management suggests budget cuts for nursing staff, they must first work a double shift without any supplies, coffee, or backup to see how efficient things are. Surprise! Rounding policy. Traditional policy. Management may perform surprise rounds to observe workflow and patient care. Nurse-written policy. Surprise rounds by management will require them to assist with any active code brown, difficult IV, or a patient demanding 17 ice chips immediately. Okay, maybe these policies won't make it into the handbook, but a nurse can dream, right? What policies would you write? Let me know in the comments.